I wonder at the hardihood with which such persons undertake to talk about God. In a treatise addressed to infidels, they begin with a chapter proving the existence of God from the works of nature. This only gives their readers grounds for thinking that the proofs of our religion are very weak. It is a remarkable fact that no canonical writer has ever used nature to prove God.
Alright, let's start. Hello everyone, I'm Davy Jones, and what you've just heard is an excerpt from Pascal's Ponce. Is it Ponce? Thoughts, basically Pascal's thoughts. And that is how C.S. Lewis has started his book, The Problem of Pain. Yay! Today we'll be, just going through a read-through of the book. Basically, it's just me and my thoughts as I read the book. But I just wanted to maybe make a Minecraft series where I survive in my little home abode here, and we just see how it's like, just see how I process Mr. Lewis's information. And so if you don't know what The Problem of Pain is, it's a book where he basically has a spin on the problem of evil. And, by him saying The Problem of Pain, you can already tell that the book has a weird niche, a weird way of expressing itself. And I think that's why he also included that excerpt from Pascal, because Pascal was saying, oh, this is exactly what you shouldn't do to defend your religion. But then C.S. Lewis puts it at the front and then starts immediately doing that, which I found really interesting. It's a very interesting inversion. And so we'll just go through that. But before we do, maybe I should show you a little bit about my Minecraft world. So, I didn't expect to flip my camera to see that. But this is what we've got going on. I haven't got a name for this place yet, but it's just a little area I wanted to spawn proof. So I put all the torches down to stop monsters from spawning in at night. But we have a lovely area here where you can relax, just look at the lovely plants, the lovely shrubberies. So we have a little outcrop here, not very pretty looking, I'll admit, but I was trying to work within the confines of this cave over here. So you can see down there, I have a huge project planned there for the cave. I just like the way it, caverns out. Can even say that. Is that even vocabulary? And here we have a little residence. We have some little sheep that I feed from time to time. Hello, little yellow sheep. So here's where I keep my cows for my leather and all the sheep. Hey guys, how you all doing in there? I felt really bad because I didn't want them all staying inside there, even though it looked pretty. It just, look at them, they look so sad. So I do let them out because I realize that you can't just let them out and bring them back in almost as easily. You just have to be a little bit patient, but just hold wheat and they'll follow you anywhere, man. So I think we can let them out. I don't see why not. Say hi to my anyone watching, guys. You can come out. They come out really quickly. They're like, nope, we don't like it there. We're out of here. So this is where my main living area is, my main living quarters. We have a weird design that I had going on here. I want you guys to tell me, do you prefer this kind of wood or this one? This is stripped birch, but I kind of liked this one, but that means I have to strip away everything again. And let me also introduce you to my little family. This is Red, he's a loving father, the first dog I got. This is his lovely daughter Aura. Say hi, Aura. Oh, aren't you cute? And this is the beautiful wife and mother. Over here I wanted there to be a main hub. I want to maybe bring in some villagers, some people to work. So I wanted to turn this place into, just a working area, like an office, an open space office where butchers or blacksmiths or farmers can come in. Maybe have their beds, somewhere along here down the mines. But that's a pretty basic exploration of my place. So what I was doing as I continued, well, first I'll obviously need villagers, but I don't trust getting villagers because My goodness. Post-production David here, so I think that's enough rambling on about my house. Let's just move on to the main content of the video. I just wanted to start by maybe talking about my thoughts on Pascal's statement and C.S. Lewis's usage therein. Can't speak. So first thing, I noticed that Pascal's statement was very interesting. He was like, readers, have a very weak grounds for defending our faith if you use nature. And I was thinking, like, wait, but didn't Romans 1 do that? Because Paul's argument in Romans 1 was that the reason why God is not plain, why God is not plain to everyone. Oh, it's getting dark. He was like, what can be known about God is already plain, and one of the things he uses is that his invisible attributes they are like plain and they're obvious. And so that seemed to me like Paul using nature to not only prove but say that it's pretty much obvious, like it's indisputable in Paul's mind. And so I wasn't sure where Pascal was coming from. Maybe there's another layer of thinking that Pascal is thinking about maybe a certain context. Shut up! What does it mean when you say there's a proof, a weak proof? Like, is a weak proof really invalid? Proof should be proof. I would think that weak proof is already has a name called evidence, right? Oh, little fish, but I have so much food anyway. So I wasn't sure where Pascal is coming from, but I do find it interesting that C.S. Lewis inverted this in his way of starting off his discussion. Post-production David reporting again live from the editing software. So one note that I didn't mention in the video is that the reason that I talked about Pascal's entry and that I didn't see C.S. Lewis talk about much was the fact that it shouldn't really be something that Christians should back away from when it comes to using nature. At least that's in my thought, because Paul himself, as I've used in that verse I quoted, he was very confident that this was a good argument, like a really, really indisputable argument. And in our culture today, it's considered a weak argument. Things like the teleological or the kalam cosmological argument can be considered weak. And we've definitely, if you've dabbled into apologetics or debates on internet forums, you can definitely get that sort of air around you. But I don't think it should matter if a biblical writer, a canonical writer, himself uses that. So that's why I think I had trouble with Pascal's statement, but I didn't really make it clear in the original recording. But post-production David here to save the day with post-footage. Signing off. Boop. So C.S. Lewis starts out by saying how it's very natural, or at least in his early years as an atheist, he found it very natural to, dispel God. So he starts off by saying how that space is just vast, and it's hard to believe that life wouldn't be a byproduct rather than the core or the center of creation. He says that everything looks so bleak, so just, I guess dead is a good word to look at it. If you look at space and in its entirety, space is just cold. Creation is just so hostile to life and happiness even in general, that it doesn't seem like it's ordered. I think that was his main concern in his early years. So, and then he goes into more depth now, focusing upon evolutionary aspects, like how Earth in and of itself is an ecosystem where pain exists, right? Like, in order for progression to happen, like, we have to understand pain, but yet it's something so not nice, right? Like, it's so mean. It's a mean world. And not only is a system of pain like useful or evolutionary beneficial, creatures to continue, but it's made worse by consciousness. So, human beings now, taking advantage of consciousness, can inflict more pain, and it's just like, it's a mess. It's very, very, very easy for people to get the impression that it's all a mess, and so that was why he would say that he used to be an atheist in the past. And so, bringing this back to Pascal, I found it interesting that he did that inversion where, he did the opposite of what Pascal was saying that theists should not do, using nature or having nature as a backing for proving God, proving his existence. And he does, the opposite of showing how the opposite can also be done and give the readers a very, very large impression of just just a naturalist world. There's the jungle I was looking for. So I'm hoping that while I'm so how many blocks? Oh, okay, that's quite out of, okay, I didn't think it was that many blocks. And so, so that's a very strong thing that he starts out with, and I was trying to link it back to, why he would start with Pascal's little excerpt there. And it seems to me that, I think it's to show maybe that Pascal may have just been a bit wrong in that sense, or based on what he's gonna talk about how actually it is a very very, very strong argument to look at the opposite, to look at why God should actually be assumed even in such a painful system. And so I don't know, I guess basically what I was trying to wonder was, why take jabs at Pascal? Was it out of just spite? Was it like, Pascal, you silly boy? Or was it, oh no, was it intended, something like that? I don't know, maybe I'm just dwelling on things a bit too much. But then he does, an inversion once again. He was like, if it's that obvious that creation can be a mean place and it's really hard to attribute it to anyone, and man, I look cute, then why is it that human beings invented religion in general? Why is it that the works of such a mean universe would be attributed to deities? Which is really a really good observation. Well, one could say that they are actually religions that begin with seemingly detached, apathetic gods, or war of the gods kind of concept. I was reminded of Mesopotamian literature where, creation actually began with the gods having a disagreement, and mankind was kind of like the solution to all these conflicts. Where is my pickaxe? And then you also have the Greeks, right? The Greeks would have, in many places of their literature, mostly detached gods. The gods had very elaborate stories, right? But I always got the impression, and my sources are impeccable. They are from, Heroes of Olympus, the greatest book series ever. Just generally, the impression I got was that human beings weren't a main thing, which I think could relate to what he's arguing for. And I don't have torches. So I thought maybe the warlike language that, all these many ancient religions attached to their canon, the main language, is really dark. I wonder if my settings are fine. Was, a byproduct of that, was a byproduct of just interpreting this world of chaos. But then I kept thinking about it, and I'm I could kind of see where you would come from still if you found it puzzling that they would still attribute some good to these gods, some good and order. it wouldn't explain like ritualistic systems where, you know, people believe that you can bargain with the gods, or you can, oh, stop it, you can achieve the gods' favor, like, despite all odds. Like, even when rituals fail, I'm sure, like, you know, every single spiritual or ritualistic group would have failures, right? And their own ways of explaining why they're failures in certain rites, certain rituals. And so, yeah, I do give it to Mr. Lewis that, you know, sometimes it is puzzling why people would, should I head towards the zombie? I don't want to head towards the baby zombie. Then another problem that I guess he also alludes to is the illusionary explanation. Not really problem, but an explanation, a possible explanation as to why, you know, this kind of phenomenon occurs. And it does make a little bit of sense. Like, people would just assume that, well, if, you know, the world is truly hopeless and human beings function, you know, on hoping, like, we go on, where mentally I am terrified right now. Oh, there's so many monsters nearby. Oh, if you know, human beings are full of hope as I am, it would make sense that these things would come about to give us the illusion of control. Even I mentioned using rights and things like that. Like, you know, how do you explain people persisting even after some rituals don't work? Now I actually need all these resources, so I'm gonna throw the granite in, get the cobble. And so, yeah, he calls it like pleasing illusions, or he says that the people who talk about it justify this behavior by pleasing illusions. You know, like, I can totally understand that. Like, life can get, where are the monsters? I'm trying to find my way towards them. They must have gotten bored. They were like, oh man, Christian talk? Nah, we ain't got time for that. So yeah, I was talking about like how you would justify, maybe say there's a ritual that fails, or, you know, the gods don't seem to be responding to a certain way of life. You know, shouldn't this over time kind of make people, you know, just fall away from this and that religious or spiritual practice? And he mentions that it still should be weird that it persists. It only like strengthens the mystery of persistence, right? To which I kind of get. He uses the Jews as an example, where, you know, they have a history of being taken over by nation after nation. Where are you, little guy? And yet they still believed in their God. You know, they would still, even when times got rough, they wouldn't attribute it to just random luck or bad luck. They would always say, oh, it's God punishing us, or they would reason that a good creator is still behind even their seeming just regular turn of events kind of thing. You can see I'm still failing to find this cave wherever these monsters exist. At least I found some useful stuff. Yeah, and C.S. Lewis's argument would be like, it just doesn't hold up that the nightmarish size of creation, I think is what he used, very nice analogy, would not shake anyone out of it. So I think for me it comes down to the human beings you're taking into consideration here. Post-production, David here. I'm gonna have to cut you off a little bit short there, pal. This episode was running a little bit longer than I expected when editing it out, and so I just wanted to cut it down and move all the other stuff I talked about later. So basically my point, I was trying to delve into how people justified the persistence of religion despite, you know, reality seeming not to function that way. And by that way I mean bleak circumstances, like how people explained away bleak or evil circumstances and attributed it to good gods or forces of good. So I was exploring that concept. I was going to give my thing about that, but I think that might have to wait till next episode. Am I too black? How do I there we go. I had to face the sun. There we go. So I'll have to wait until the next episode where I talk about my own experience or my own theories, speculate. Oh my gosh, stupid shadows. My own speculations on this topic. A verse that came to my mind was 2 Timothy 3:5, and I was thinking I might have a go and exegete that, for the next episode. Yay, because everyone loves exegesis. Let me know what you thought. Give me any feedback. This is something that I definitely love to do. It's been so much fun, and it's been I think it'll be a cool way to to just read a book and share my thoughts and see how other people think about it as well. So that's goodbye from me. Goodbye from my dogs. Say goodbye, Yell. And with that, I will see you later. Maybe, I don't know. Depends if this pilot episode does well. Tell me what you guys think. Bye bye.